What are we even talking about? Mental health considerations. Okay. Hey friends, it's your good friend Tim Kimball Smith, and today we are talking about mental health considerations for entrepreneurs. As someone who is both an entrepreneur and a mental health person, and in school studying mental health, I think about this intersection a lot, especially because we know class, income, and work have heavy impacts on our mental health. Entrepreneurs have some unique factors that affect our mental health. So we're going to go over what are those unique factors to entrepreneurs and what are some of the things that we might do to work against it. Now, please know, I'm actually going to really emphasize the role of stress. And we're going to talk about different stressors of life and things that may cause overall, like what feels like life instability. We're also going to talk about just a few unique tactics to entrepreneurs that we can use to tackle our mental health. Before we go too far, make sure you like and subscribe for all things mental health, business, photography, higher ed, and life. So let's start with what's adding to entrepreneurs' burdens, our mental burdens, and is draining on our mental health. There's a bunch of different things. The first one I actually want to address is really unique in how it affects so many different folks, is income insecurity. Now, the research even shows, and I know this is my experience and what I've heard from clients in this position, even if a business is really well off and extremely successful and is showing like a lot of signs that it will survive for long periods of time and a sense of longevity, a common experience of entrepreneurs is a doubt that the income will always be there. Income insecurity affects all entrepreneurs, wondering where your next dollar is going to come from if you're going to be able to afford life. Because your income is completely dependent on you. Persistent sales goals. You know why persistent sales goals are so dangerous, especially for entrepreneurs' mental health, is it creates like a binary in our mind where it's either success or no success. There's not really much gradient or change. And success just becomes acceptable. There isn't something to terribly celebrate. So persistent sales goals can be a really big problem. Loneliness and isolation. This was very shocking to me as an entrepreneur. No one told me how lonely entrepreneurship can be when it's just you working on your business, working in your business, and maybe you have staff members, but these aren't folks who always understand you, who can relate to you, who can empathize with you. Next, and kind of in relation to that, feeling responsible for other people's well-being. This is particularly when you have staff, thinking like, okay, if we don't make enough money, if I don't make enough money, then those folks don't get paid. And making payroll, that can be really daunting, constantly being responsible for other people. Next, a lack of access to benefits and other supportive services. I kind of made a joke when I got married, because I married someone with excellent benefits, that I was getting married for the benefits, because suddenly I wasn't paying full price for therapy. I was able to get prescriptions because as entrepreneurs, we don't really have benefits. So it's not as easy and for us to access, and often we won't access supportive services like therapy that we need. Next, unique to entrepreneurs is a heavy work focus. We are more likely to have less work-life balance because our brains are, even not just our brains, constantly being on, thinking about the business, thinking about the next thing to work on. We don't have as strong of work-life balance as our corporate employed counterparts do. Next, and this one we have to be so careful of, is the fear drive, being driven by a fear of failure. It's funny because I teach this to my marketing students where I say people are either running towards something or running away from something. Sometimes they're doing both, but one is usually stronger than the other. Entrepreneurs are often running away from a fear of failure. That means that we are prioritizing fear, we're prioritizing worry, that's releasing cortisol and adrenaline into your body, that's changing your thoughts and your thought patterns. So we have to be really careful of constantly being afraid of failure. Imposter syndrome, an internal belief that we're not good enough, that we don't deserve the good things that are happening to us. This especially affects entrepreneurs who experience really rapid growth, who get a lot of sales really quickly, or who grow online really quickly. Again, that can impact your thought patterns and your emotional patterns. As entrepreneurs, we also have a tendency to prioritize work over other forms of rest or relaxation, especially sleep. And if there's anything I've learned about impacts on mental health, it's that sleep is a deep, dark, cyclical factor. If you mess up your sleep, you are messing up and affecting almost every other part of your biology and your well-being. And then the last thing I think of that really affects entrepreneurs' mental health is a performative aspect, and we are constantly performative. We don't like to admit when business isn't doing well. We don't like to talk about the difficulty, so we're putting on a face. Putting on a face, being inauthentic, can wear you down, but then also causes you, I kind of compare it to like walking into the darkness. The farther you walk into the darkness, the farther you must walk to come back out. And you have to undo that. And that's really tough. So there's a lot of different things affecting entrepreneurs' mental health. Luckily, there's a bunch of different things that we can do to combat stress and these challenges on our mental health. The first thing that I want to lift up, a first maybe tactic to consider that I've recently been learning about and is fascinating, is to undo the effects of stress with relaxation. So think of all the different things that like high amounts of stress can do to your body and will do to you psychologically, and then work to undo that. So stress will elevate your heart rate, will elevate your blood pressure, will affect your sleep, will affect digestion, will change your priorities. So if you can do things to lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, to calm your thoughts, to practice relaxation, and practice. And I really use the word practice quite intentionally because it's something you do, you learn, you grow through. Practice steps towards relaxation. Literally anything that's good for you and that works for you, that helps you enter a more relaxed state, as long as it's, long-term happy, healthy for you, do it. You might practice self-care or community care. So self-care is anything you do for yourself, by yourself. So taking a day off, giving yourself a treat, like TV shows, movies. I like brain rotting on the couch, though I use brain rot here as a term of endearment and a positive. Or community care, things that involve other people. First things first that I always recommend and has been really good for me is form friendships. And I mean friendships, not acquaintanceships, not surface level relationships, friendships with other entrepreneurs so that you can empathize with each other. You can sit in the darkness with each other. You can be honest with them. They will listen to you, but they may also give you advice because they've been in that position if you want. Attending events, going for meals. This is why I also, in my business, I prioritize working meals so that it's fun, there's a sense of community, there is a level of joy when we have to involve work. Next, another thing that you can do for your mental health is to work on building resilience. Now, please note, there's a difference between resilience and resiliency. Resilience is a skill that you can practice. Resiliency is a state of being and is a permanent part of you. I want to encourage you to work on resilience as a skill. Anything that brings you back to baseline. And baseline in psychology and mental health refers to your most normal state of being when there's nothing overly positive or negative affecting your day-to-day thoughts and behaviors. I would argue that every other tip and strategy I'm going to teach you here contributes to your resilience, to your ability to be at baseline where nothing is terribly affecting you, positive or negative. My last two, and these are my favorite strategies for entrepreneurs. The first one is mindfulness. There is so much and a growing body of research on mindfulness, the practice of being aware of thoughts and feelings as they come and letting them go. The greatest metaphor I ever heard was that emotions and thoughts are passers-by. They are visitors walking through your house. If you've never engaged in mindfulness, a few tactics that you can use to practice this involve just deep breathing. So in through your nose, out through your mouth, and I mean for a few seconds each. So it's gonna look ridiculous, but I'm gonna demonstrate it. So it should look something like this. and do that a few times as you need in any moment where you feel like you could really use a mindful moment. Grounding. You can't tell, but right now my feet are flat on the ground. Fun fact, shooting YouTube videos makes me super nervous. And something I do to ground myself and to feel a little more even keeled is to have my feet flat on the ground. It usually involves touch, so feet flat on the ground, palms flat on either your leg or on a steady surface might help. Or the other strategy is to touch your chest and to physically, hold on. There we go. Physically feel your heartbeat and focus your attention on feeling your heartbeat. Are a few ways that you can practice mindfulness. And then finally, and I know I talked about this as a point of privilege, but where possible, when possible, seeking professional external resources, going to therapy, calling your doctor, getting something like a SAD lamp or a seasonal affective disorder lamp, getting a massage. Heck, I would actually even argue having a business support person, like a mentor, like a consultant, like an advisor, who will care for you as a person and as a business owner. There's lots more things that affect entrepreneurs' mental health, lots more strategies that you can employ, but these are I find the big ones and the basics to start. Here's where I'd love to lean on you. Please comment any self-care or community care tips in particular that help with your mental health, especially if you're an entrepreneur, so we can kind of create a space of wisdom from many. As always, make sure you like and subscribe for all things business, higher ed, mental health, photography, and life. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye for now.